Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I know that today is a big Seahawks day with the roster cut down. We need to get down to 53 by tomorrow at 1, so got to shed like 30 players. So obviously, this is a Seahawks channel, and this is a pretty big time for the Seahawks, but I got to get this one out. So I'm just going to put this one out early in the morning, and then the rest of the day will be about the Seahawks and their cut downs that I'm sure we're going to hear about throughout the rest of today and maybe a little bit tomorrow. So just, I know this isn't for everybody, but for those of you who it is for, this is pretty monumental what we're seeing right here because I did not think there was any possibility that we had in us what we ended up having last year. Last year, when the team looked average at best for an extended period of time and it seemed like nothing good was going to happen, and then 15-game winning streak, boom, you basically rode that to the postseason. Like, that alone propelled you into the playoffs. And you were able to win every close game almost because your bullpen was so good. Like your bullpen just held every lead. Your bullpen did so much heavy lifting in these close, low scoring games. This year, I mean, this year's even better, right? It's the same basic idea. You were mediocre at best for an extended period of time, looked like everything was just dead, and then 8-game winning streak, 3-game losing streak, 8-game winning streak, lose a game, and now we're on this new winning streak. That's better, right? Like this team is significantly better than last year's team. Last year's team was a mediocre 500 team that was incredibly good in close games. This year's team is not even good in close games. They have lost more close games than they've won. Their record in one-score games and extra innings games is actually not good at all. And yet here they are 18 games above 500. What that tells me is that this team is actually really good. And it's obviously a recent development and it can go away as quickly as it came in, but I'm not seeing any reason to believe that it's going to go away to the point where we crash and burn and not make the playoffs. And by the way, you look at pretty much any website right now, the way we're playing combined with our schedule, whatever formula you want to use, the playoffs are basically there. So, yeah, if you were wondering to whether or not you're supposed to buy into this stuff from the Mariners right now, they've done enough for you to buy into it. And again, I just want to keep stressing that. Last year, we had an okay team that made the playoffs because mostly they were really good in close games. This year, this team is just good in ways that supersede that. The close game thing, that can be good luck, that can be fluky. What is going on right now with this Mariners team, there's nothing fluky about it. Think about our losses over the last near month. Maybe it goes back further than a month. Every loss feels annoying. You never have these losses where it's just like, well, they just beat us down. They just whooped us. They just controlled the whole game. No, every loss is like, oh, we had the lead in the ninth inning and then found a way to let it get away from us, or we got to extra innings and couldn't quite plate the ghost runner. It's always these tiny little decision points that very clearly decide the game. Like the we are so close right now to being on this 30-game win streak right now almost that it defies all it defies all understanding of baseball because we watched this team for over 100 games not be that good. Be maybe slightly above average overall, but nothing like this. Like just to talk about the team right now, big picture, obviously Julio's caught fire and was maybe the best player in baseball for a few weeks there. And honestly, he's still playing really well, so maybe he's still going through that bump right now. So Julio's completely found it. Teoscar's finding it. Last couple of days, he's been on a tear. Crawford comes back from the injury and settles right back in and is giving us everything that we expect from him at this point. Cal is going through a power surge. It's all these things that we talk about the whole season about how I hope this happens, I hope that happens. If all these things happen, this team can be really good. Basically, everything happened except for Ty France. Ty France is still bobbing around out there, and my God, we need to upgrade from that guy as soon as possible. This season, next season, whenever, got to do better than Ty France. He's kind of the millstone here, but everything else, the guys we got in the trade are playing way better than I think anybody expected. Canzone and Rojas have had big moments for this team already. I know Marlowe's kind of getting figured out, but hey, perfect timing for that kind of. Kelnick will be back anytime now. Dylan Moore's found the stroke. We're doing all this with no Kelnick. I already mentioned him. No Tom Murphy. We haven't seen that much Cabby lately, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Like, traditionally, I am used to the Mariners trading for mediocre batters or maybe above average batters and then having them completely collapse when they get to Seattle. Like Mark Trumbo was a great example of that. He was a good hitter, came to Seattle and didn't do anything. Then he left and started doing stuff again. But Canzone and Rojas have both been really good, really useful players for us. Maybe not on defense, but we've needed their bats. And I know the bullpen isn't playing great right now, but we needed those guys more than we needed Sewald. I'm going to have to stand by that. I'm going to have to stand by that decision that this team made. So this isn't just a matter of pretty much everything that needed to go right on this team went right. There were things on this team that I didn't think had much of a chance of going right that went right. Like, I thought Rojas was going to be MLB caliber, just barely. Like, maybe he would have like a 75 OPS plus or 80. But instead, he's mashing home runs. He's coming up with big hits in big situations. Canzone, not too far behind him, really. And night after night, we're able to trot out a real lineup. No more Colton Wongs, no more AJ Pollocks. And again, I want to stress this. Tom Murphy, who has been on a per at-bat basis our best hitter this year, has missed an extended period, and you would never have guessed. But this team's ability to trot out a full lineup of guys who can get it done, maybe lately you'd say Mike Ford isn't getting it done really, but even then, even there, you got to say he's had a good season, so you just kind of have to be on board with the Mike Ford experience a little bit at a certain point. So it's one of those things where, like I said, you think about it in your head. You think to yourself, hey, if this happens and that happens and that happens, we got a great team. But you kind of know that those things are not going to happen. At least not all of them. And then basically all of it happened. Again, the only thing in this lineup consistently that is not performing right now is France. And France isn't playing terrible. He's just kind of playing average, which is not good enough because France takes away so much from you as a team by being on your roster. But hey, we can live with that right now. And I can't believe I'm sitting here saying we can live with Ty France being not good. But we really can. Even losing Tom Murphy couldn't get us down. And it's not like Brian O'Keefe has come up and played great. Not at all. He's been very, very what we expected, but it can't keep us down. And I mean, the rotation's been pitching a lot better lately, but they overcome these bad starts. Like Bryce Miller against the Royals a few days ago was getting lit up for a couple of innings there, but we kept the scoring down, we kept it manageable, and then the offense was able to eventually bail us out. We've had some bullpen mishaps lately, like yesterday, Gabe Spear goes in, immediately gives up a two-run home run and gives up another base runner. We get out of it in a game where the offense really didn't play that well. We're surviving some mishaps from the bullpen. Like we gave up a couple runs to the Royals in that game I mentioned that Miller started when it looked like we had put it away. Suddenly, Munoz has the bases loaded with a two-run lead, and he doesn't have his stuff, and then we dig our way out of it. Obviously, Castillo, he's borderline Cy Young territory at this point. He's pitching great the last couple of starts, which is good because there was definitely a bumpy part of this where Castillo looked like he was spinning the other way, but he's really come back nicely. Kirby, Gilbert doing their job. Gilbert's last start was awesome. And now that we know that Marco's not coming back this year, and we know that Hancock is not coming back this year, we've kind of settled in on this 5-man rotation in all likelihood. You got to say that what we are getting out of guys who were not even expected to pitch this year, like in a perfect world, those guys would not have been starting pitchers this year at all. We would have had Robbie Ray, would have had Marco, maybe would have even gotten something more out of Flexen than we did. They're pitching fine. Like, they're keeping us in games. It's very rare when they get blown off the field. Like, Brian Wu's first start was against Texas, in Texas, when Texas was playing really well. Of course he's going to get blown off the field. So, generally speaking, even our lesser starters are not allowing the game to be completely on their shoulders. They're actually allowing this offense to have a good day and win even when they're not pitching all that well. It's been beautiful. It's kind of the opposite of what I've come to expect from some of the guys at the bottom of the rotation in previous years. Guys like Flexen, who really could just let games get away from him. Right now, it's not happening for these guys. And I want to give a big shout out real quick here to Taylor Saucedo in particular, because we've needed him to step up and be good since we traded Seawald, and for the most part he has. He had that one game where he got lit up because he didn't get any time to warm up before going in because Hancock got hurt. But other than that, I want to shout him out for great stuff in particular. So, obviously, yesterday was the day we officially took the lead in the division. We are one game up on Texas and Houston, I believe. And that's not going to be enough. Obviously, we got to keep winning. We played both those teams at the end of the year, and Texas has whipped us this year. Texas, well, I don't want to say whipped us. Like, that first series, we outscored them, but they still took 2 of 3, and then we got swept. One of the few times we've gotten swept this year. And I don't know if it's a bad matchup, or I don't know if at that time they were just overpowering us, but that's not the same team right now. Their bullpen is terrible. Their pitching is suddenly not that good. And losing Josh Jung has been huge. That Texas team might just not be very good anymore. They've been playing bad baseball for a pretty extended period here. And I knew their bullpen was going to be a problem, but I didn't think it was going to be a problem until the playoffs. But no, it's a problem now. It's a big problem. So that might just not be a very good team. But Houston, I don't think we're going to get rid of them that easily. I just don't. So we're going to have to keep winning here. We have an easy schedule that we can take advantage of. We've got games against Oakland. We got games against the Mets coming up. We've got, I don't know if these are our last games against Oakland this year, but I believe we play them again later in the season. We've got an opportunity to build a lead here, and it's going to be really important to build a lead because even though I don't think Texas is really a great team right now, like it might not be a funk. I really don't want to go into that last 10-game stretch with it coming down to the wire here because that is still a team with a lot of great stuff in that lineup. They can put up 9 runs in 2 innings on you, no problem. So, really would rather it not come down to that. But realistically, unless this extreme stretch of perfect scenarios continues to go on for another month, which would be unprecedented, really, probably is going to come down to that. And I'm not ready to say it's a bad matchup with us against Texas, but I will say this. We've got a bunch of right-handed pitchers. They have a bunch of left-handed hitters. Do the math. But, yeah, we are division leaders for at least the moment. And I never thought we'd be here right now, but we are. And if you want to say we're a bad matchup against Texas, then we're a good matchup against Houston, right? Because we've been beating them this year. So, cuts both ways, and Houston may end up being the real challenge for us to get into the playoffs. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Mariners. Awesome, awesome stuff. The team is playing like the best version of themselves right now.